Welcome to the Goffstown Select Board April 28th meeting, and we'll call the meeting to order. First order is called Pledge Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up is the acceptance and correction of minutes from the 4/14/25 meeting, public and non-public.
I make a motion to accept the 4/14/2025 public and non-public minutes with corrections if need be.
Second. Jim.
Okay, motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any corrections, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes. I'm going to remind folks about the Glen Lake waterfront parking. The parking restriction date for Glen Lake boat launch and waterfront area ordinances are in effect beginning May 15th between the hours of 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Parking along Elm Street in the area of the boat launch is restricted to Goffstown residents only who display a residence transfer sticker on their vehicle. Stickers for residents can be obtained from the transfer station during normal business hours, Tuesday through Saturday, 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. The designated trailer parking only area will remain open to anyone with a trailer attached to their vehicle without restriction year-round. There is no trespassing from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. at the Glen Lake Boat Launch waterfront area. Alcoholic beverages are prohibited at the Glen Lake waterfront, along with any glass bottles. Glen Lake is a carry-in, carry-out facility. The above restrictions are posted at the Glen Lake Boat Launch waterfront area for convenience. Anybody has any questions, you may look up at Goffstown, www.goffstownnh.gov/368 town-property ordinances, and you'll find all the restrictions and rules there. Next up, is there anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on. The fire chief has a little presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Good evening.
I just wanted to take a quick minute tonight. Back about 2 weeks ago, a number of department members received awards from the New Hampshire Committee of Fire and EMS. I asked the guys to be here, but of course, they're on a call, so. But anyway, I just want to real quickly tell you about some of the awards they got. Ben Bruley, Chris Gamble, Ryan Hooper, and Chase Patterson were awarded a Class 3 Medal of Valor award, and this was for a structure fire on 19 Sunny Ave last year. Firefighter Corey Thomas and Nick Pulio received the Lawrence A. Volk Memorial EMS Heroism Award for 2025. That was for the call that was on Joffrey Street in 2024. And a number of department members received a unit citation, again for the structure fire on Sunny Ave. Ben Bruley, Mike Cloutier, Jackson Crosby, Stephen Donahue, Chris Gamble, Benjamin Goodwin, Ryan Hooper, Chris Kelleher, Cam Lawrence, Tom Nault, Nick Nault, Chase Patterson, Nick Pulio, Ben Selleck, and Jessica Skrupski, one of our dispatchers. And the unit citation is basically, the whole crew working together under, Sierra's conditions. So that's Sunny Ave again. And the last one is another unit citation, and that's for Joffrey Street. And that was in recognition of the actions taken and professionalism displayed during the structure fire at 34 Joffrey. And that was awarded to Eric Batty, Derek Chenard, Carter Clay, William Connor, Aaron Graham, Colin O'Brien, Nick Pulio, Ben Selleck, and Corey Thomas. So pretty proud of the guys. They did an excellent job.
I think that's awesome. We have a fairly young department besides
Yes.
that, so to receive all those accolades is quite an accomplishment to those guys.
And these will go up in the training room in the EOC on the wall. So I'll just leave them there for a few minutes and then
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Hey, I got about 10 minutes. Do you want
Do you
to?
want to do the proclamations?
Sure, I can do those. This evening, we have two proclamations. First one was, whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation which designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which that date falls as National Police Week. And whereas the members of the law enforcement community in Goffstown, New Hampshire, work tirelessly each day to ensure the safety, security, and well-being of all who live in, work in, and visit our community. And whereas these dedicated professionals willingly face danger, uncertainty, and sacrifice to protect the rights and freedoms that we all cherish. Whereas the law enforcement officers of the Goffstown Police Department are an essential part of the community, responding to calls for service, preventing crime, solving cases, and fostering trust through community engagement. And whereas we honor not only those who currently serve, but also those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty to keep our communities safe. And whereas it is important for all residents to recognize and show appreciation for the officers who serve and protect Goffstown with courage, integrity, and professionalism. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Select Board, Town of Goffstown, State of New Hampshire, do hereby proclaim the week of May 11th through May 17th as National Police Week. Throughout the town of Goffstown, New Hampshire, we encourage citizens to join us in recognizing and expressing their sincere gratitude to the members of the Goffstown Police Department for their steadfast dedication and service on the 20th day of April, 2025, the town of Goffstown, New Hampshire. Signed by members of the Goffstown Select Board. So, we'll go on to our another one. This is another town proclamation in honor of the millions of public employees and federal, state, county, and city town levels, whereas citizens are served every single day by public servants at the federal, state, county, city, and town levels. These unsung heroes do the work that keeps our community working. And whereas public employees take not only their jobs, but sometimes the oaths to fulfill the duties, and whereas many Goffstown employees, such as police officers, firefighters, public works employees, and others, risk their lives each day to serve the residents and visitors in our town. Whereas the public employees serving this community includes police officers, firefighters, public works employees, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency dispatchers, administrators, educators, and countless other occupations. Day in and day out, they provide the diverse service needed by our community with the efficiency, integrity, and high levels of training. And whereas public servants at any level provide the continuity in the services that can be challenging an environment that regularly changes its leaders and elected officials. Therefore, we, the Select Board of the Town of Goffstown, County Hillsborough, State of New Hampshire, do hereby proclaim to all citizens of our community and proclaim them the week of May 4th through May 10th as Public Service Recognition Week throughout the town of Goffstown, New Hampshire, and we recognize all citizenry of the town of Goffstown to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of municipal and school employees here in Goffstown. This is given under our hands and sealed this 28th day of April in the Lord of our Lord, 2025, and again, it was signed by the Select Board. And a big thank you to all of our public service employees. 5 minutes. You got something you want to do?
Sure. We go to tab 7, no, 8, tab 8 this evening. We have the select board
10.
10. Tab 10A and B. So on tab 10, the consent agenda, no more meetings scheduled this week because it's that 5th week of the month. And then starting next week, there's an EDC meeting at 6 PM on Wednesday evening here in this room. 6:30 PM, the Library Board of Trustees will be meeting. And on Thursday, 7 PM, the Planning Board will be meeting here.
I thought you said you had a meeting.
There's a bridge committee meeting. I'll be out of town.
And that is when?
It should be on the 6th,
Okay.
and it's at 7, I believe.
6 is what day?
Tuesday, I think.
We didn't have that one
That's
on the
right.
calendar, so I'll double check.
It's Tuesday.
It is Tuesday, okay.
Tuesday.
I got that. I told you I'd cover that.
Okay.
I
Okay.
just, pardon?
No, I was just gonna say, is that the one you said? I got it.
Yeah, I got it, but
But it's not on here.
Okay.
yeah. And
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't on Wednesday because I have economic development
Yeah.
that day. so.
That's it.
Thanks, Peter.
You're welcome. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
We'll make sure we get that one added. The next page, we have the consent agenda. This evening, you have before you employee status reports, the elected supervisor of the checklist resignation, part-time deputy clerk new hire, DPW seasonal laborer rehire, and one new hire for that position as well. Full-time truck driver, successful completion of probationary period. DPW director pay adjustment per the employment contract. Fire chief pay adjustment per the employment contract. Per diem firefighter / DOD intern, promotion to a full-time firefighter. We have 3 per diem EMT work invest grant trainees that are separating due to inactivity, and 1 per diem EMT work invest grant trainee that is resigning, and 3 full-time firefighters that are adding the master firefighter designation and the applicable pay adjustment for their CBA. There are 3 event permits for you this evening. The Goffstown Public Library will be holding the Monadnock Falconry Program on May 3rd from 2 PM to 3 PM at Barnard Park. The Goffstown Community Garden Club will have their annual plant sale on May 17th from 8 AM to 1 PM on the Town Common. And Mountain Based Brewery will be having a car show on May 17th from 11 AM to 3 PM at the Parks and Recreation Center. They'll be having that at 353 Mass Road, so it'll be at the back of their building. There are the 2 proclamations that you read this evening, as well as a right to inter for Westlawn Cemetery, Section 1992, Lot 149.
Motion to approve the consensus agenda as presented this evening.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Joshua. Let's go back to Mountain Base. I'm confused with what that means, what that says.
So they're having a car show. It looks like there was a typo carried forward from a previous agenda on that last item.
Okay, so it's not at the Parks and Rec.
No, the location is 353 Mass Road. It is behind their facility.
Right, okay.
In the back lot.
Okay, so we had the motion. Any other further questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
All right.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes. Let's go on to the public hearing.
Okay.
We're on Page 5.
I'm just gonna unmute the phone because Scott
That's fine.
Bartlett's on the line.
Do you have the posting in here? No. Let's see it.
Tab 6.
No, but.
There's another one prior to that.
Oops.
It has to be posted,
It is, yeah.
and it's usually, we read the posting, so we know that it was posted. While you're looking that up, should I just go over the other one? Or-
Sure, you can.
Let's go over to 6 while she's looking up the postings, that way I want to make sure everything's done properly when you go, anything you're doing with property. This is a public hearing under RSA 41:4-14, acquisition of land, town acquisition of a proposed 117-acre parcel for proposed open space subdivision. The proposed parcel identified as map 6, lot 54-OS. The property is owned by MT Arat Properties 1 LLC, located 67 Terrell Hill Road, known as Acorn Drive Extension. This is, the Goffstown Select Board is conducting this public hearing in accordance with RSA 41:14-A to accept public input pertaining to the town taking ownership of proposed 117-acre parcel from proposed open space subdivision. The proposed subdivision would subdivide the existing lot into 46 new lots and create 2 lots that will remain as open space. The Select Board is seeking public input on the proposed parcel identified as map 6, lot 54-OS. The property is owned by MT Arat Properties 1 LLC, located at 67 Terrell Hill Road, known as Acorn Drive Extension. A second public hearing is scheduled for Monday, 5/12/25 at 6:15. The Select Board is scheduled to vote on the acquisition on 5/19/25. And I will open up the public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak to it? David, do you want to speak to this?
I'll speak to it,
All right.
and we'll be brief. I'm David Neiman. I'm here representing the Goffstown Conservation Commission. And the Conservation Commission sought to have this open space area transferred to the town under management of the Conservation Commission, as opposed to going to a homeowners association, for a couple of reasons. One, it has a lot of high-quality features to it. It's fairly significant in size. It's 117 acres for an open space subdivision set aside, and it contains one of our town's prime wetlands. So we wanted to be sure that it was, conserved properly under the supervision of the town, and we also wanted to make sure that it was open to the public for the public enjoyment, because if it went to a homeowner association, then it would just be private land. So in a nutshell, those are the reasons why we're pushing for this. Thank you.
Is there anybody here from the public to speak to it? Any Select Board members have any questions?
Not questions, but from the planning board's perspective, just want to let you know that this map isn't 100% accurate because due to the Conservation Committee going out and looking at the land, they did find vernal pools. And what is was lot 2, which is the top 3, it's in the middle one, that's been removed, and they've relabeled the third one 2, and they've extended a smaller one underneath it. And the reason they did that is because there were vernal pools in there, and there are quite a number of wetlands in there, just so you guys are all aware of that.
They would have had, if they hadn't done it like that, they would have had a real long driveway to go up into the back to develop the lot, so. After that, David walked the property along with a couple other people. The developer decided just to eliminate that lot. Is that
Well,
pretty accurate, Dave?
They didn't eliminate the lot, they changed
No, they eliminated building on that lot.
on that one, but then they created another one.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Anybody else got any questions?
I just, David, I guess, it's a prime wetland, Goffstown prime wetland. Are we taking on is there any actual responsibilities for maintaining that wetland that we don't already have?
We will be assuming the responsibility of the stewardship of the property, an area where...
You should come up to the front, David, so everybody can hear what you're saying.
The Conservation Commission will take on the stewardship, the oversight of the stewardship of the property. We're currently working to update procedures and plans so that it gets done properly. We'll have to write a management plan for the property as part of this process. But I do want to say that if we weren't taking ownership of it and it went the usual route where they create a homeowners association and then usually create a conservation easement to the town, but they don't assign who's taking care of the easement. It's the same stewardship responsibility. I think we'll have better control and more direct control doing it this way than we would the alternative.
We're not walking into any major responsibilities or problems that you know of.
No, the wetland pretty much takes care of itself.
Okay.
It just involves making sure there's no infringement on it, nobody's, dumping on the property or disturbing the property, same as it would any other easement anywhere else in town.
I assume that, but I just wanted to
Yeah.
ask the question. Thank you.
Anything else? Anybody else? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing.
Yeah, no, come on.
Oh, I'm sorry, Carlos, did you want to speak?
Yep, I decided I'm going to speak.
You decided to speak?
Yep, my concerns are a little different. So my concerns are relative to process. As you may or may not know, the state law requires that the planning board solicit comment from the Conservation Commission and present a plan for them to provide comment on. I don't believe the plan that was presented to the planning board in its final state is representative of the plan that was presented to the Conservation Commission. It was changed. Some people may see them as minor changes, but nonetheless, they are changes. So when changes are made, it should go back to the Conservation Commission for additional review and comment on a changed new plan. So it's a process issue that I have concern with. Thank you.
Collins is correct. During the planning board meeting, we found out that the lot that was eliminated was discussed with the Conservation Committee. There were comments that there was the same plan that was presented, but no discussion was made about the additional lot that was added with the Conservation Committee. There was a conditional approval that they have to come back with a completed plan and all the conditions met. It has to be brought back to the planning board and the Conservation Committee, if I remember correctly, out of that meeting that we were at the other day, and David was there as well.
Yeah.
So, the plan that I saw when I was at the Conservation Commission meeting, right, was changed again before it went to the planning board.
Yes.
So Carlos is accurate when he says the plan that we saw at Conservation was not the plan that we agreed upon to send to the planning board. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
So I can't say that I disagree with what you're saying, Carlos, that the Conservation Commission should have another shot at it.
I agree wholeheartedly.
So does that happen before we continue with the hearings or after?
As
Can
long
we-
as we have the final comment by the end of the public hearing process, there is another hearing on this May 12th, and then the vote wouldn't occur till May 19th.
So is there a Conservation Commission meeting between now and then?
Fourth Wednesday.
Fourth Wednesday? No, there is not. So we will have to speak with the Conservation Commission on that.
And they would have to have a special meeting, or?
They could either call a special meeting, or the hearing process can continue, and we can just have additional hearings. 2 is the requirement, but if we need to schedule additional hearings in order to allow time for comment, we can go ahead and do that. But just be advised that the Select Board doesn't have the correct series of meetings back to back again until July. So the Select Board, if they wanted to have the process move along sooner than that, may need to consider adding special meetings to accommodate.
So Peter, you can confirm they did not talk about that at the,
No, that's where I got my information,
Yeah.
that I saw that, because I was there and there was nothing about a second lot.
Okay.
It was just that they were eliminating that one lot.
And then added another lot in
Right.
a different
I
location.
did question him pretty hard and told him that it seemed very shady. That's basically what I told him.
I don't know if it's shady, it's just, they're trying,
A bit of a shell game.
It's a show game.
So that said, we'll close the public hearing, because now we have input. We're gonna have another public hearing on it, and then we have to make a decision, another meeting after that. So we've got another month, really, before we have to make a decision on it. So we've taken public input tonight, and with that input, we'll move forward and see if we can get it cleared up. Thanks, Carlos.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David, did you want to speak again?
Yeah, just one additional comment, I guess. Well, I completely agree with everything Collis and Josh have said, and you. I guess this hearing is really about whether we would accept the open space for the Conservation Commission. It's not an endorsement of the plan in any way, shape, or form, because that's a planning board decision, and I don't know what, if any, will come out of what's just been discussed, whether that's going to have any material impact in the end or not. But if the project is approved and if there is an open space being created, my primary concern with this hearing is just that we decide that we're going to accept that, whether that lot's there or not.
I didn't hear anybody discuss not taking the property. I heard there was the process that was.
I understand. I guess
So I don't see this, I don't hear any negative comments about taking the property. But the negative comment is how we got there and how the developer switched his plans around between two committees.
Yeah.
So, and I think we gotta get that straightened out, and we'll go from there. And I'm sure it'll get straightened out one way or another. So.
Right. I guess I was just seeing it as
I understand.
two different processes.
So again, we'll close.
Peter, there's also some conversation as to whether or not the vernal pools are fully and completely identified and delineated. And the applicant made a concession that they were going to go back out again and survey the entire property to get a full picture of all of the vernal pool resources on the property. So that hasn't happened.
Okay, so we're, right now, as we, like I said, we had a public hearing, we had some public input from committee members, actually, and then they're coming back, they're gonna have to come back to conservation and get another okay or a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and they did commit to going out and doing that studying some more of those vernal pools.
They did commit to the vernal pool study, and they're supposed to provide that to us. Whether they're coming to the meeting or not, they didn't say, but provide that report to us. In terms of the planning board approval, meeting the conditions, they have to come back to planning for that, but I didn't hear anything said at planning about them having to come to conservation again.
That actually wasn't
Oh.
a determination. We went through all the pieces and determined that it would not have a substantial impact on any decision that we made, which is why we gave the conditional. But we said that the plan has to be completed and brought back. So
Brought back to.
both conservation and planning have to see it.
Okay.
Because we had to see the final. That's what I heard.
Well, I think we need to go through the minutes and check out and see exactly what they'll get back to us, okay?
Peter, a recommendation, which may want to find its way back to the planning board, is, in my opinion, the first condition on any permit should cite which plan is being approved. ABC company prepared the plan on this date, it was revised on this date, it was stamped and received by the town on this date. That way, there's no question about what plan we're looking at. But just a suggestion.
It's a solid recommendation.
Yep. I think that probably have something to do with the planning board would have to set those regulations up,
Yeah,
wouldn't they?
No question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'll close tonight's public hearing on that. And did you have?
I have the other
Go
one. Do you want me
ahead.
to read that out?
Let's go ahead and read it.
All right, so in accordance with RSA 79-D:5, Roman numeral I, the Goffstown Select Board will conduct a public hearing on Monday, April 28th, 2025 at 6:15 PM at Goffstown Town Hall, 16 Main Street, to accept public input on a requested renewal of a discretionary preservation easement for the existing barn at 45 Joppa Hill Road, Tax Map 2, Lot 19. The Select Board is scheduled to vote on the discretionary preservation easement immediately following this public hearing,
Okay, good.
and that is at tab 5.
Yeah. Does anybody have questions on this? Do we need to have Scott make a presentation of somewhat? Scott, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Is there information that you'd like to give to the board?
Really nothing more than what was in my memo to the board. This is a renewal of a discretionary preservation easement. There was a easement granted on this property in 2015. By the terms of the original agreement, they have the right to renew this, which they have done, as long as they have applied by April 15th, which they did. I did go out and look at the property. I have to update the assessment based on its current condition, and then my recommendation is to assess the property at 50% of the assessment that it would be if this was not granted.
Okay, thank you. Anybody got any questions? I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody here? I think I already did that. Is there anybody here to speak to it? Besides Scott? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any discussions, questions, guys? Okay, so we have to take a vote on, tonight, on whether this is it's a continuance, so I take a motion.
Maybe you just ask one question.
Okay, Jim?
The second page of Scott's, the last sentence, this assessment would be frozen for 10 years. That means that it would stay at the current assessment for 10 years? Is that what you mean by that? For the
Yeah,
next?
the assessment would be frozen for 10 years at $12,800.
Okay, thank you.
That's basically the easement that we're granting to the property. It's 50%. I mean, this is a relatively small barn, was built in the 1700s. If there is no easement on it, the assessment would be $25,600. Essentially, we're taking half of that value, and that's the assessment that will be frozen for 10 years.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Motion?
Make a motion to approve RSA 79D discretionary preservation easement of map 2, lot 19, 45 Joppa Hill Road, owned by the Back Mountain Preservation Group, LLC, Hillsborough County Registry of Deeds, Book 9206, page 1346.
Second.
Motion by Joshua, seconded by Jim. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes. Okay, next up, we're going to bring up,
We have one more public hearing
oh, I'm sorry,
at tab 6B.
6B? All right, here we go. The Goffstown Select Board is conducting this public hearing in accordance with RSA 41:14A to accept public input regarding the granting of a permanent easement across the town's rail trail, tax map 19, lot 47-6, to Public Service Company of New Hampshire, PSNH DBA Eversource Energy. A second public hearing is scheduled for Monday, May 12th at 6:15. The Select Board is scheduled to vote on the easement on 5/19/25. Is there anybody here? I'll open a public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak to it? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, and we'll be continued now until 5:12.
This is another one that may end up getting delayed, or additional hearings may be held if we don't have time to get comment back by the committees.
Okay. And next up is Fire Chief. PFA Site Remediation Station 1. Chief, I'd appreciate if you give a little bit of history because we have two.
Yep. Good evening. So on this item tonight, back in April of 2021, we received a letter from the Hampshire Department of Environmental Services, and there had been some testing down on Depot Street, and out of that testing, they found some levels of PFAS. We've heard a lot about, PFAS, and it's all over in the environment and everything. So because it was in close proximity to the fire department, and that years ago, we would train with foam, which is supposedly has PFAS in it. The Department of Environmental Services wanted us to do it's called a focus site investigation. So then former Chief Brian Allard in 2021 entered into a contract with Novus Group of Concord. They're an environmental testing firm, and the town contracted with them to do some soil borings, monitoring wells, and some other sampling in order to provide a report to the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. So subsequently, in July of '22, Novus Group submitted that report to New Hampshire DES, which detailed the testing results that were found from their PFAS testing. The long and short of it is they found a small area in the back corner of the fire department of PFAS, but it wasn't linked, to anything to do with Depot Street or anything like that. And in your package, I provided you, with the report and some mapping, and you'll see where that came from. So, then again, on March of last year, 2024, I got a letter talking about the Focus Site investigation that was done by them, and New Hampshire DHS is requesting further groundwater and surface water gauging and sampling from the existing wells we put in, and they want to put in a couple more, which goes a little further on the fire department property on this left side of Church Street, down by where the water comes through. So we knew about this last fall. We went through the budget period. I was going to come in and ask, for the funding of it, but we didn't get there. So now I'm coming to the board to ask them, to ask you to allow me to get into another agreement with Novus using sole source, because they've done all the prior investigations and reports. They've dug, they've done all the well testing and know this situation very well, and will be able to support us when the results of this next test comes through. They've given us a proposal of $37,292 to conduct that testing and to develop another report that will go to New Hampshire DES to give them the results of our test. And the funding from it is going to have to come from my budget, and I'm just going to have to find the money for it if the board approves it.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Chief. Yeah, I read this the other day, and my first question was, are we required to do the additional testing?
According to them, we are by law.
Okay. In the previous time that they tested, they didn't find anything. So why do we have to do the additional testing? That's what I'm unclear about. Like,
They did find.
no, they found something, but it wasn't linked to the original.
To the Depot Street.
Correct.
Right. So they're requesting for us to move down a little further.
Because they're trying to find a smoking gun, or that's what I'm unclear about. Like, if we did the original testing and it wasn't associated with Depot Street, are we now testing because of the find out of the original report, or?
They, because of the location, like, I guess it's better explained if you go to that map.
Yeah, I'm looking at the map.
So they want us to expand across the street, okay, by Kendall Hadley Road, and go further, come further down to test towards that back area too, to confirm that there is nothing beyond the fire station property and across the street.
Is that the black and yellow dots, or?
No, the black dot is our oil water separator that's there.
So basically, we're expanding out into a region that isn't even owned by the fire department, or?
Correct.
Yes.
So how does that work?
comes from the fire department, even though it goes on somebody else's property, we may be responsible, I think.
So it's a, it's a double-edged sword. If we do the study and we reconfirm that that isn't ours, that came from Depot Street, then I think that protects us in that way. And
But if it came from Depot Street, but it would costing us, by the time we get done, $100,000, by the
Right.
time we get done with this.
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
I understand what you're saying, I
Yeah.
understand exactly what you're saying. It cost us $100,000 to prove it wasn't us.
And it's not even on our property.
correct.
What happens if we say no?
I don't know.
I don't believe that's an option, but we can certainly seek legal
We can
guidance.
seek legal counsel.
I think we should, because it's not on our property.
It's
We've
not
already,
on- Yeah, exactly.
we've already done the initial study. It wasn't linked. We did our job.
So I guess my question would be, is there any kind of insurance that covers this?
No, PFAs are not covered by insurance.
Not at all.
No,
So even if we're found guilty, if you will,
we would be
we'd have to
responsible
pay
for
for it.
remediation.
I would like to seek legal counsel and see what they have for an answer for us. That's my opinion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, what's your opinion?
To answer Selectman Douglas's question, the second to last paragraph, page 31 from NHDES, does indicate, please be advised, the site eval HW project 40079 has been closed, and hazardous waste project 42415 has been opened for this specific issue in relation to the fact that PFA was found from the first round of testing. So it sounds like they're directly acknowledging that they've closed out one issue, and now they're actually tracking down this other issue as in, it was discovered through this other course, not so much that it's a smoking gun that can tie us back to the other issue, but since there is something on our property, they have to investigate that.
Well, they're trying to find a link to something else, like, are there reports of other people having PFAs? Like, or is it just isolated there?
Right.
I think we should still seek legal counsel.
Yeah, we don't know what was found off of Depot Street,
Right.
That's a,
It's, I believe it certainly wouldn't hurt to get a legal opinion first.
okay, we have 60 days from March 8th to respond, if I read this right. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay, so let's put it at the next meeting, maybe we can call out to attorney just to get a quick
Okay.
look. Okay?
Yep,
Does that work for you guys?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll do that then.
Thank you, Chief.
yep.
Now you have third-party software contract image trend.
Yep. So the fire department uses, we actually used to have like 3 or 4 different software platforms to do our administrative work, our fire and EMS reporting, our EMS billing. So we got that cut down a couple of years ago to 2 software platforms. But since 2 years ago, the advancement of software now provides us an opportunity to try and come down to one type of software, which is called ImageTrend, which we've had all along. And we have another program, it's called Vector Solutions. That takes care of our training records, our inventory, and a whole number of, fire-related items. ImageTrend, in my opinion, is the stronger of the 2. So we pay about $9,000 a year for ImageTrend and about $12,000 a year for the Vector Solutions. The state of New Hampshire has the ImageTrend program that we report all our fire reporting and EMS reporting to, and they have a free version of it, okay? Years ago, we bought the image trend before they had switched over to the free one. So in looking, in future budget costs and everything, we would like to begin to transition from that Vector Solutions and bring it all into image trend. In order to do that, we need a software consultant that'll be able to first, our image trend had not been updated since 2016. So the way our program's set up, before we would work towards switching over to the free state system, we need to have some background database work and everything done. So I'm asking the board to allow me to contract with a image trend expert to come in, get our files all straightened out, and then work towards us transitioning over to the free state of New Hampshire system.
Any cost?
Probably around $3,000 at most. Most of it's done virtually, have access into our system, but he'll also help with the transition to the state. We've worked with Brian Ray, our IT director, and he's on board with it. He will, be on board, to make sure the transition and the security and everything's there. So it's basically trying to work towards some good savings on.
Does IT have the money to pay for it?
No, I'll pay for it.
Does he have the money to pay for it?
No. Typically, the way that we set things up in the budget, the first year that a software or software-related cost is introduced, the department pays for it, and then it gets moved into IT budget. So their budget, as it exists for all of their software lines, is already allocated out for every other software that we have in play right now.
So we were paying $9,000 and $12,000 a year, is that what I heard?
Yes.
So $21,000? When do those come up for renewal?
Not until next year.
Right.
So we've already paid for it for this year? So that money's already gone?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're gonna need that time to transition anyway, so.
No, I get it, I was trying to figure out, do we have enough time where we've already paid for something and you still have that money in that line item that you could take that out and it becomes a cost savings?
Right. It would be in the 26 budget, we would be able to adjust the IT line there.
Any other questions? Motion?
I'll move to authorize the fire chief to enter into a contract with IMTC Software Consulting of Allenstown, New Hampshire, for the purpose of integrating two software programs into one and updating the current image trend software programming.
I can listen to it.
Second.
Well, okay, a motion by Jim Sec, but do we want to put a dollar
Yes,
cap on
that's
it?
what I was gonna say, $3,500 I think, Peter.
And authorize him to spend up to $3,500.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
And my last item, again, for the new members, back in 2023, the board had authorized me to institute an emergency hourly pay rate adjustment so that we could hire some per diem AEMTs and paramedics, because at that time we were down 7 positions and we were down like 3 or 4 paramedics. So the board allowed me to go to a pay rate of $30.57 for paramedics, $24.56 for AEMTs, and $20.32 an hour for basic EMTs. And over these last 2 years, it has really helped us out. Number one, covering the vacancies and drawing some paramedics in to be able to continue to provide ALS service. So last fall, the board had further extended it till April of this year. And at that time, I told the board I was going to look at, those hourly rates and then come back with a recommendation. My recommendation is going to be I'd like to go and look at our current pay matrix, come back to the board in a couple months with a modified new pay matrix, which we haven't looked at in a couple years for our per diem call firefighters. So I'm asking the board to allow me to continue the hourly pay rate for another 2 months, and then come back to the board and discuss a different pay matrix.
Questions, anybody?
Will 2 months be enough time for you, chief, to get that completed?
Yep.
Okay.
So, we'll say our first meeting in July. Is
Yes,
that a
that'd be,
target, as a
that'd
target
be
date?
good.
And that would also have already included any adjustments on July 1st.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so then we can we'll know, we won't say, okay, in 2 weeks it's gonna go to this.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Motion?
Motion to authorize the fire chief to continue the hourly pay rate as presented for 2 months in order to revise and update the current pay matrix for call and per diem personnel. Do you want the month?
Yeah, do the first week of July,
July, the first week of July for our meeting.
our first meeting, that's
First meeting.
fine.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Chief, can you help me with my awards?
Let me pull that out of your back.
Funny guy.
Hey, their dispatcher was on one of them. Two of them on there.
Come right up. We have with us tonight the police chief, and it's a recommendation for a bid award for police station space needs, and that is 8 on your
Thank you, everybody. Good evening.
Name, chief.
Would you like me to just?
Go right ahead.
I'll go into some background for the new members. We've been looking to potentially build a new police department for many years now. Late last year, the board had directed myself and Derek Horn to put our RFP to start getting bids on the first step of that, which is a police facility space needs assessment. We put it out in November of last year. Didn't have anybody put any bids in there. We put it out several more times at the board's blessing, and we received 3 bids back. In your packets, I believe you have all 3 of the bids. My memo kind of just does a really high-level outline of the 3 bids. If you'd like me to read them for the public, I can, or if you'd like me just to kind of go over them quickly, just a high level.
Let's go, these are available online, so you can just go, if anybody wants detail, they can go online and look it up.
So really for me, it was, you can see there's 3 different. One was really a basic concept, which was the cheaper of the 3. That was SMP Architect. That one really was, one thing that I didn't like about it was they were just focusing solely on the renovation of the building that we're currently in now and not really assessing us on a new site and what the projected cost would be for a new building. Another one, Hermit Group, and architects were a little bit more expensive. They are a high-level group as well. Seems like they have a lot of business down in Massachusetts, Connecticut, some stuff here in New Hampshire, giving us some other conceptual designs, but really LaValle Architects, which is based out of Boston, but they have an office right here in Manchester. They've done several large projects in New Hampshire. They're pretty well ingrained in New Hampshire. They came in at the middle of the road cost. Seems like they're going to be able to help us get that initial, what does it cost, what are we looking at for our building for space needs, and then if we're moving to another site, could they come together with a conceptual design and a cost to build in a new site to show us what the future of the police department could look like, or if we need a bigger building. They're going to help us with some of the community forums, 2 select board presentations. They have some type of sustainability emphasis on net zero strategies, which I'm interested in seeing for the future. And really for me, going through these 3 packets, I kind of fell on that one. They've done Dover, Manchester PD, I think they worked with Hollis. I know Dover's is a beautiful building. They did Wells, Maine. I believe I talked about Wells Public Safety Facility at CIP. That was a big one because they're kind of the same size as us. That's kind of the overview, high level, quickly of the three. I'm recommending, just off of my thoughts, again, it's up to the board, that La Valley, they're here in town. They're here in Manchester. They've been the ones that have been engaging with us the most, continuously emailing to see if there's any updates. They're really eager to work with us. They were even proposing to come tonight if you guys had any questions on the RFP. On the side of the cost, I had mentioned in my memo, I've spoken to finance, and we do have public safety impact fees that the chief and I have talked about, and he's willing to forego some things for him to give them to us to go forward with this. I believe we have enough to cover all these if we wanted to go to any one of them, but specifically the one I'm recommending, if the board agrees, would be we have enough to cover that. Some impact fees are expiring this year, so we have to use some. So that's kind of the quick, high-level gist of it.
How much are expiring? What do you have to use?
I have to defer to Danielle. She's the one that has all the master numbers.
So if I understand what this is a study of actually potentially two different projects. One is a rehab of the current, and one is potentially a new one.
Yes, that's the RP we put out, is we were
Right.
looking for anybody to show us what's the space needs, where are we at constrained in our current building, and then if that is a constraint, what's the cost if you're gonna try to do any renos. We've done that in the past. Years ago, we did one where they did basically a look to redo just adding no square footage to our police department and just the bare bones internal. I think it was like $4 million. But then they're also supposed to give us what a new concept would look like, what the space could look like to our site that we've come up with. I have not shared with them, nor has Derek, that there's a potential for us to use behind DPW, so if we do engage with any one of them, that would be the site we'd be looking at. But yeah, so essentially, hopefully, out of all these, we get two different thoughts here. I believe that's what the board looked for us to do at the end of last year.
Right. Jim?
So I'm just curious, we just got a study that I just saw for the first time the other day, and I only had a chance to skim it. You know what I'm talking about? We were waiting for it for a while. Did
I'm
we just
not
get a
sure.
study?
I didn't
of the
see it.
police? No?
Just the
So this is
bids.
the one we've been waiting for?
This is
This
the
is
bid,
the
yeah,
one,
because
yeah.
this goes back to November. We had initially put it out for bid, the RP, in November, and I think Derek and I came to you guys a couple times in December, and nobody put it for us. We pushed out to January, and eventually we got some bites, yeah.
So this is the one?
Yeah.
I thought I
This
saw one
is-
the other day.
I think it's a good idea to take a look at both the buildings,
Yeah.
it's what we have now, and see if it can be
Yeah.
upgraded enough to, suffice. And I think when we look at something like this, we don't want to look at something that, okay, if we put $4 million in it, we'll be able to be here for 10 years. Is that a good investment? Or if we spent 20 and we're there for 50 years, I mean, that's the kind of thing you got to look at, I think.
And I think that's why this was the first step, and I believe Collis was the one who kind of pushed, us into this direction of, we need something tangible by professionals that we can look at, have them study it, and this is the first step that I know different agencies are doing when they're looking at building a new building. This was one that's, let's look at, is our building even sustainable for the next 10 to 15 years with adding more personnel, and equipment.
Do you know how they're coming up with those projections on, is it based upon how the town's currently growing and they're doing some year-over-year growth rates based upon that?
So the initial RFP that we put out, we put together our projections that we, as a town, have seen in our master plan and some other thoughts. So we gave them some data to kind of look at, and then they're looking at their data as well as other agencies around us or other communities around us. But the projection growth, we've given our data, we think where we're gonna be in 10 to 15 years as a town and as an agency.
And so on the renovation, and it says addition too, so basically they could scale it out if there's enough room or...
That's what I think they want to look at, is to
Yeah.
see what's the lot line look like, what's the plot of land we're on
Yeah.
currently, what can they do to renovate it? And again, we've been down this road with the board in the past publicly, that, our building, just for quick history, was built in '87 with 19 full-time employees at a tune of $500,000 to no cost to the taxpayer. A lot of the engineers that we've had come in have told us this is built on residential grade equipment. And
Yeah.
if we were to go up, we'd have to redo a lot to just sustain the weight of going up in that area. So that's why we've kind of looked at potentially moving the site somewhere else and rebuilding fresh for the next 20 to 30 years, rather than trying to stay in that acre and 3/4 lot. But hopefully, if this works out, this will be architects and developers coming together and giving us a proposal of what it actually would take if we have the ability to stay there, or if we really should, in the next 10 years, move.
Somebody also contacted me this last week and told me that the county may be moving out of that building across the street from you. Is that true?
So, there's a lot of things going on in that building, and I don't know how much publicly I should share. I know that they are renovating it now.
Yeah.
My understanding was they were trying to close down Nashua's offices and bring them all up to that,
Okay.
to Goffstown. There's some conversation about the legislators' budget where they are going to cut the court completely and shut down the Ninth Circuit Court, which is ours, and essentially push all of our residents and all of our victims of crimes and all of our courts to Merrimack.
Right.
So that's kind of a whole gist of what's going on over there.
So if that ever,
We've tried negotiating with the county since before COVID.
Since 2020.
Yeah, we went into, I participated in that, and we went there, and we couldn't get anywhere. We said we wanted to buy property, and there's a whole,
yeah, because they had that whole field originally.
yeah, but there's a whole other deal that goes along with them selling the property, and they couldn't do it it was gonna be a mess, and they had to offer it to everybody, and then that means anybody could have bid on the property, and then that would have been something that nobody wanted.
Because it's basically, yeah, it has to go to the public first.
Well, not first, it just has to go to the public, and anybody, we could bid on it too, but.
Right, but no guarantee.
And
Exactly.
we had heard from developers that if they opened up the property to our, I guess if you're looking at the building to the right where the garden is, that's where we were initially, that's like 245
Yeah.
acres that go back. That cuts into that intersection.
Right.
There was conversation, if they opened that up to the public to bid, that Dunkin' Donuts wanted that whole corner because they had the data to support all that development, that they would still make money even with White Ave, Pinardville, the back roads.
Goffstown runs on Dunkin' Donuts, it's fine.
So, I mean, that was something that they knew about too, and it was one of those things that we looked at in the RSA, if you could only open it up to the government entities or municipalities,
Right.
and the county's the only governing body doesn't have that.
Got it.
Doesn't have that. Well, so they would have to open it to everybody to bid on.
So it's not viable unless we know that we could get it, and it sounds like we can't get it.
We've went down this road for many years, and the executive council over there has told us, keep looking, keep working it. And then they even came out and tried to see if we could do like a lot line, but they wanted us to have attorneys and developers come out and look at what it would cost to have the lot lines adjusted if they wanted to donate land. And it was something I don't think the board at the time wanted to invest a lot of money into, just to see what it would take, and then just to see if they would even allow it. And then it has to go to delegation, I believe, too.
Yep,
For
makes
vote.
sense. Okay, well, I had to ask.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Danielle.
The answer about the amounts, so as of this time, they have over 200,000 in public safety impact fees.
Mhm.
They have about 13,000 expiring in 2025 and an additional 22,000 set to expire in 2026.
Okay.
So it would be good to get the study in prior to the expiration of those funds.
What's the lead time on getting the study started?
So this particular one is 20 weeks. In their response, they said if they started in May, it would take them 20 weeks to get through.
As long as we have a contract on that those funds don't disappear.
Yeah.
Right.
If we have somebody under contract, those funds will still.
They will not disappear?
Right.
Okay, all right, cool.
Sorry to step in. But
No, it's good. I think that's where I was going, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, this is the first step. I mean, if we can get to a point and we get this back and it fulfills what we are trying to do as a town, but it's something that we recognize financially is going to take a lot more work for the community to understand what it's going to take. At least we have a first step and a tangible document that shows where we're going with this.
Any other questions? Richard, you all set?
No, I mean, we talked about this at the budget committee meeting a couple of weeks ago, but it seems like there's been a lot of discussion already about negotiating with the county in terms of equalizing the relationship we have with them, and it doesn't seem like
The
there's
budget
any.
committee can talk all they want about negotiation with the county. We've been trying and
Yeah.
trying and trying, and there's some bad blood that goes back years and years ago, and they're skeptical about doing business with the town of Goffstown, I can just tell you that, so. So, we can all have wants, I'm sure, everybody wants a piece of that county property, but we're not getting it that easily. So, do we have a motion?
I'll move that we authorize the police department to enter into a police facility space needs assessment contract with LaValle Bressinger Architects in the amount of $60,970 and authorize them to kick off the project in May 2025,
And the funds coming from impact fees.
with the funds we derive from the impact fees.
Second.
Just want to authorize. So motion by Jim, second by Joshua. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
Great.
Well set, Chief? Thank you.
very
Thank
much.
you, Chief.
Thank you.
Now, the Public Works Director isn't here, but there's a
So I can
household...
speak to that one.
Pardon me?
I can speak to that
Yeah,
one.
go right ahead. And that's on number 9 on your packet?
Yep. So annually, the Department of Public Works has a household hazardous waste and used oil collection grant from DES. And they're looking to continue that program as well and have the DPW director authorized to execute any documents related to the grant. So they are anticipating that the offsetting grant revenues will be limited to $5,311 based on the draft grant paperwork that DES has provided, which is in your packet. And the costs for those programs are as part of our regular operating budget.
It's a normal thing we do every year.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I talked to Adam about, we lose a little bit of money on that, right?
We do.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
so, can't remember what he said that we'll lose on it.
I don't remember an exact figure, but it's less than the grant amount, so
Yeah.
this offsets the majority of the program.
Cool.
versus getting a load that's contaminated when you get up the dump and you're going to bring it back. That's
100%, and that was the thing that Adam did tell me, is like, paint cans and everything else in there, not a good idea.
Motion?
I make a motion to accept household hazardous waste and used oil collection grant funding and enter into grant contracts with New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services, and to further authorize the Director of Public Works to execute any documents which may be necessary to effect the purpose of this vote.
Second.
Any further discussion, questions? Motion by Joshua, seconded by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
Now
Next
we're
up,
on-
we're back to you, and is that the volunteer appointments?
We're assessors recommendations, tab C.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So we have a whole series of items, which is why Scott has
Which tab,
patiently
Danielle?
waited on.
Excuse me.
The assessors recommendation, tab 10C, page 57.
Okay, thank you.
So you see before
And I am
you,
still here if you have any questions.
thank you,
Okay.
Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Good evening, Scott.
So we have a few, as you can see, veterans tax credit, couple connected disability. We have 5 under the elderly exemptions, 2 solar exemptions. All of those are approval recommended. And then there are 2 items on the second page, a yield tax, a timber tax cut, and an intent to excavate. So those are all recommended for approval this evening.
I make a motion to approve the assessor's recommendations as presented.
Second.
Motion by Joshua, seconded by Jim. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
I did have one question.
Go ahead, Scott.
I didn't hear, I believe there was supposed to be a warrant for a an excavation tax. It was only like $26. I forget the exact amount.
Yeah, it's on here.
$21.80.
It's on here.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Volunteer applications.
Yes. So we have two volunteer appointments before you this evening. Both are the same individuals, but two different groups. So David Neiman and Jean Walker, each for a 3-year term, being appointed or recommended for appointment to the Conservation Commission with terms expiring March 31st of 2028. And they'd like to recommend approval for the same individuals to be reappointed for 3-year terms expiring March 31st, 2028 to the Open Space Subcommittee as well. So we have two different motions before you this evening for consideration.
Sure, I make a motion to reappoint David Neiman as a regular member of Goffstown Conservation Commission and Open Space Committee to a 3-year term expiring in March 31st, 2028.
Second.
Motion by Joshua, second by Jim. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes.
I'll move to reappoint Gene Walker as a regular member of the Goffstown Conservation Commission and Open Space Committee to a 3-year term expiring March 31st, 2028.
Second.
Motion by Jim, seconded by Joshua. Any questions or comments on that one? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes.
Okay, thank you very much. On tab 10E, we have a request for acceptance of donation. So this is per RSA 3195E. There is a donation offered by the New Hampshire Sons of the American Revolution for grave markers. There would be 7 grave markers at an estimated cost of $200 each. And they would be looking to place these at the coming event that'll be on June 8th for a ceremony to honor and recognize participants in the Battle of Bunker Hill.
So cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I make a motion to accept the donation of 7 grave markers and installation of the markers in recognition of the service for participants in the Battle of Bunker Hill with the approximate total value of $1,400 in accordance with NHRSA 31:95-E.
Second.
Motion by Josh, seconded by Mark. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes.
Okay, on tab 10F, we have a request for adoption of the 2025 proposed wage matrix adjustment for the regular non-union staff members. So this was included in the budget that was passed. This is a 3.3% wage matrix adjustment that is based on the CPI that had last been released during the budget process. So this was recommended as part of the adoption of the new compensation plan in 2024, that to keep it relevant, you would compare it to the CPI on an annual basis. So you have in your packet a copy of all of the labor grades and positions, as well as the current matrix and the proposed matrix that would take effect on July 1st of this year.
I have a question.
Sure.
I don't want to go into people's names, but could we go down, let's say, second page?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the second page.
Of the list?
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's see where it's at here. Oh, it's the second page. That's the second page.
We're talking about page 74.
No, I think it's 72, right?
72.
Okay, this list, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
On G08,
Mm-hmm.
there's a admin there that we had talked about making an adjustment last fall because of the added duties, and did we do that?
Yes. Mhm. Yep, so all of the labor grades, as you see, included the adjustments that were discussed during the implementation.
Okay, but I thought we were going to do something different with that position because it kind of changed in job description.
I don't believe so, but if you'd like to discuss
Yeah.
it in non-public, we do have a placeholder for compensation on the agenda,
Okay.
just
Yeah,
to
I
make
would-
sure I'm understanding.
Yeah,
the
okay, let's
question.
do that.
Okay,
Other than that, I'm good with it. I just have a question on it, that's all.
okay.
Which can be changed at any time.
So should we hold this until after? the
No,
public?
no, this is for the whole group. There was that one position that I had a question on, but this doesn't take effect till July 1st, so something else could come before us.
All right, so I make a motion to accept the proposed 3.3 wage matrix adjustment for regular non-union personnel effective July 1st, 2025.
Yep.
Motion by Joshua, seconded by Mark. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Tell
Opposed,
Mark's starting to
abstaining?
get hungry.
Huh?
Mark's getting hungry.
Absolutely not. I had supper already.
The only thing that's screwing me up is Richard hasn't asked anything or said anything, so I haven't been able to screw up tonight.
You call him Jim? Just call him Jim anyways. It's fine.
All right, so the next tab, we have an RFP before you this evening. This is for the operational efficiency study for all town departments. This was the one that was a petition warrant article that was added to the ballot, and the select board did direct the town administrator to draft a request for proposal. So this is that first draft. If the board would like, we can put it out to the public, or if there's any changes, please let us know.
This is the one that didn't have any money with it, right?
Correct. There is currently no funds allocated. So we would see what the bids come in at.
So to do this tonight won't cost any money, just when
This-
RFPs.
This is
Correct,
just to go up for pricing.
right. It would get us a better idea of what the
Yeah.
actual cost of this work would be.
And you can always, we get some numbers and stuff, we can always bring it up again next year. If that's something else, we'll have numbers for it,
Like real numbers, yeah.
Yeah.
So do we need a motion to
Yeah.
post the RFP? Okay, I'll make a motion to post the RFP for the operational efficiency study that was passed at town meeting in 2025.
Second.
Motion by Richard. How'd I do?
Perfect.
Seconded by Mark.
Couldn't ask for better.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
abstaining, motion passes.
The next one at tab H is another request for proposal. So we're looking for permission to put this out to bid for energy procurement and consulting services. As you know, every year, I come before you and try to negotiate on behalf of the town, get quotes, and come forward with all of our commodities. So that's all of our fuels, electricity, diesel, and unleaded gasoline, as well as figuring out when the best time to buy, lock in, which terms. And we really feel that this would be a cost savings to the town to have a consultant who specializes in this field to be able to know when to buy and to be able to negotiate on our behalf.
So you think the consultant will pay for itself, Danielle? That's what I'm,
I believe it will, yes. They do have multiple models for how you pay your fee structures. So in the RFP, we left it open to the bidders to let us know what their model options are. But as we understand it, you can either have a fee where they write a contract and tell you this is exactly how much our fee is, we will bill it to you directly, so you see it as a separate line in your budget, you know how much that service costs. Or you have the option of rolling it into the price of those commodities as well, because it's, a part of obtaining those commodities at a discounted rate. So other communities that use this, a lot of communities, as well as the state and higher education facilities, have said that the cost savings has been very good for them, and the consultants have been well worth the funding.
any estimate on the cost savings, like percentage-wise?
Completely depends on how big their facility is. Some facilities have had a desire to go after more green energy options, and when they come forward with their bids, even if you do contract with somebody, they'll come back to the board each time before we lock in anything to let you know what your options are. So if the board has an interest in, say, green energy for one particular thing, or a blend of some kind, you'll know what all of those options are, and that's not something that I can bring forward as an expertise.
Here again, we're not spending anything to
Yeah.
get that, so that might be a good idea to take a look at it.
Yeah, it's worth taking a look.
Yeah.
Just,
And I've heard that the best buy time for some of these is early June, so I was hoping to get this out for 30 days and
Yep,
So we need to make a motion for this too?
yep.
Make a motion to allow Danielle or whoever, Derek, to...
Administration. how's that?
Administration, thank you. Administration to go out for RFP for energy procurement and consulting services.
thank you.
Second. Motion by Joshua, second by Jim. Any further discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
The next one at tab I just have a quick update for you. This was on the auditing services discussion that we had at the last meeting. So the contract did come in, and you can see the impact year over year comparatively. So a 3-year extension would have some increases. The impact to the general fund is split out for you because the audit costs that you see combined in the contract are actually split between the general fund and the sewer fund. So they came in below the 10%. On average, it was about a 6% increase.
6% increase year over year?
Yeah, so if you were to compare year 1 to the year 3 of the prior contract, and then year 2 of the new contract to year 1, so on and so forth. So. And the single audit option is there, but we know already that we don't need one currently for 2025 unless a grant opportunity came forward that brought us over the new threshold for federal funding.
Do you need a motion on this one?
Nope, no action needed.
Yeah,
I
this is
just
just
wanted
info.
to give you an update. A
Right.
copy of the full engagement letters include that outlines all the services. If there's any questions, we're happy to answer them.
I think one question I have is like, especially if we do this in 3 years again, like what's driving the cost increase?
Their labor. So the majority of auditing services is based on the auditors that they have to put in the field. And those auditors have to be licensed and trained. So it's just a matter of the market cost for their staff, similar to the issues we had, where, the costs change over the cost of benefits and wages.
Yeah, I think the next time I would almost recommend that we go back out to bid. Like continuous increase in like services like this, typically you can get people to compete. I know we only have 2 in the state.
Right.
Is there anybody outside the state that can also?
Other states have very different rules. I don't think there's any law prohibiting another auditor from submitting a bid, but most auditors haven't shared an interest in bids for New Hampshire unless they're a New Hampshire firm, based on just having to know the different fields and rules.
Kind of two of them, you know what I mean?
Well, I know there's 2 of them here, but sometimes you get bigger firms that still operate across
Out of
multiple
Boston or
states.
something like
Yeah.
that, right?
The one we had actually was a Massachusetts and New Hampshire firm, and then they actually pulled out of New Hampshire because the auditing rules in Massachusetts were entirely different and they wanted to focus on that market.
Sure, I get that. Okay.
Okay, let's move on to transfer ownership SAU ballot counting machines.
Yes, so, as you know from the discussion of the ballot counting machines, they have to be replaced this year, according to the ballot commission, and there is a grant available through the state that adds, I believe it's $2,500 per machine as a grant, but only to the machines owned by the municipality. We do have 5 ballot counting devices, 4 of them are owned by the municipality, and 1 is owned by the school. But as you know, they stay in the possession of the town clerk, and so it resides here at Town Hall. It's handled by the town clerk during all of the elections. So the school felt that it would be prudent to transfer the ownership to us so that we could get the grant. And then if need be for cost of programming that 5th machine, which has traditionally been paid by the school said they'd be willing to have us bill them for it like we do with other contracts such as the
Right.
robot for the Parks and Rec or something like that.
Make a motion to approve the transfer of ownership from the school to the town.
Second.
Motion by Joshua, second by Mark. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes.
Okay,
That's you.
that's it for me.
Anybody have any new business to bring before the board? Okay, let's go over our old business.
I did raise
Oh,
my
I'm
hand.
sorry, go right ahead.
I don't know if this is really business per se, and I don't intend to belabor this point, but at the budget committee meeting recently, there was some feedback from members of the budget committee, and I've heard feedback from members of the public, that they are displeased that they passed a budget with no money allocated for stipends, and yet the town continues to pay stipends. That's all I'll say.
Thank you. You got, anybody else on new business, or we're not gonna discuss it because it's not on the agenda. Go ahead, Goffstown Police Station, we just heard a proposal on that, so that's the first thing on our old business. The TAP grant, we're still waiting for, didn't we get some information from that?
We did, yep. So there's a new bullet on the last box there in your matrix that Goffstown's project was ranked #1 in the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission's regional meeting. So at this point, they are anticipating that the grant would be more likely to proceed.
Cool, and then the bridge committee's gotta start finding money to pay their half, their part.
Yeah, whatever the remainder would be, we would be hearing from the committee on their ideas for
Their
funding.
plans, sure.
Yeah, I did ask that question already in some emails that I sent Peter, so I guess when you go there next week, that was one of the topics that I had sent up into email to the committee.
Well, I've been pretty adamant, I don't know if you followed it all along, but I'm pretty adamant that this is, a project that, not really that, it's not emergency type of thing,
It's definitely not an emergency, and like the funds, like coming out.
200 and something $1,000, I mean, to pay for that would be,
Well, the other thing is that they don't actually have a quote, as far as I know. So it could be more than that, for all we know.
right. Well, they're going off some information from the bridge they did in Manchester, I guess.
Okay.
So we got Tower 1 still out, Mark, huh?
Yeah, they're
Yes.
doing rush repair.
And then a solid waste truck,
Yeah.
DPW garage.
Yep, the chief is anticipating that the Tower 1 will be back this week.
Okay. Anybody got anything else? Is there anybody here for public input? Come right up, state your name and address. You got 3 minutes.
Oh, boy. All right, well, I didn't come prepared, but my name is Kevin Molan, 9 Heald Street. I'm calling because we recently received a letter for the property owners in the Heald, Laurel, Ivy, and Wall Street area.
We had
Basically,
serious
it's just-
discussion on this a couple, what, 2
Yeah,
weeks
well,
ago?
basically, it's a big FU to the residents. I've lived there for 23 years. The most the town has ever done is cold patch. And 3 years after we moved here, they skim coated the road just to tie the patches together. Laurel Street, you don't need to go to a dentist to have your teeth removed. Just drive down Laurel Street at the speed limit. It'll ruin your front end. Ivy, same thing. How is it this wasn't put out to the residents prior to the budget meeting?
Well, it's not, we're not.
They're letting us know after the fact. I
Well,
guarantee you, 90% of the residents would have been here at a budget meeting when you say, yeah, you know what, 23 years, we're gonna push it, we're gonna kick the can down the road. It's frustrating. For 20 years, I've been on the short list to get the Heald Street paved. Every year, something comes up. Well, we gotta replace the pavers in the village, in the new roundabout.
again.
When is our turn?
We understand. We agonized over this 2 weeks ago. What do we do? And we had a list of things, and we agonized over it. I hear it all the time. I live in Bernardville. Mark lives in Bernardville. We hear it all the time. I don't
I
disagree with
mean, the
you.
top 10 roads, the top 10 worst roads are in that neighborhood.
I'm-
And now we're just gonna, kick it down the road. Can you guys just come in and strip the pavement out and bring it down to dirt?
Yeah, we've
It'll
had
be
that.
smoother.
Somebody asked.
Then I can at least hook my plow up every once in a while and drag it smooth. Because at this point, it's a kick in the teeth. And we've been getting kicked in the teeth for 23 years.
So this particular year, that was on the list, he had it on his list, but the budget committee cut $450,000 out of the budget.
Out
We
of the-
had
out of
last
the
year.
I
recommended
understand
budget,
that, but why
No, no,
wasn't that
no,
put
no.
out to the
Out of the
neighborhood
budget.
Out of
prior to the budget committee meeting?
Last year, we had like 1.6, I think, right?
Yes,
Okay,
1.6.
1.6, they took, out of that 1.6, they took away $450,000.
Okay, but there's nowhere do we know that the budget committee is gonna be discussing that.
Yes, there is, they post it, when they do that,
Why, you go on the website and it just says, meeting, budget committee meetings, schedule as needed. There's no master schedule, like you guys.
I don't know, do they?
So
They don't really, they cover, they just say DPW or whatever usually,
Right.
right? On this.
So we do post their agendas when the meetings are scheduled, and you can sign up on our website for when the meetings have agendas posted, to be able to get an email or notification to your phone. So that way you can see when an agenda is posted. They do most of their committee work in the fall. So it's typically September, October,
I just
November.
did this a couple of weeks ago, so.
Where they sent out the letter, or?
Well, this we got this week,
Yeah, that, just to let people know that.
letting you know after the fact.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a budget meeting, that was, came in.
No.
He came in with, we had, what his budget is, and he says, this is what I can do, and this is what I can't do.
Oh, I talked to Adam about this
Yeah.
in depth.
So you're the
we
one
have
that
this-
told him, take it down the dirt.
We have this conversation every year with
I get
Adam,
it.
because it's been going on every year for 23 years. And at some point, it's got to break, because we don't have any option. If I say, I'm not going to pay my taxes, what are you going to do? You're going to force a lien on my property.
So,
I don't have any options. I have to take the kick in the ass and
I don't.
fix my suspension again as I drive down Laurel Street for the third time this month, and
We have a member on this board who participates in the budget every year. And this year, it's Richard. And I'm sure Richard will relay the feelings of the public to the budget committee when that time comes. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, of course, and I think, just getting back to the point about what budget committee meeting pertains to what topic, we've never posted every specific line in the budget that we're gonna be talking about, because we go through entire departments at a time, and the road plan is one line in that budget. So if you ever see DPW as a topic of the budget committee meeting, we're probably gonna be talking about the road plan, because it's usually the biggest item within the DPW's budget. So at any time, or really any single budget committee meeting, just come in. There's 2 public comment sessions, one at the beginning of the meeting if you could get there early, one at the end if you can't. Just come in and let us know.
I think what he's also asking if there could be more detail, if anything, because
That, unfortunately, I'm not the chair of
Yeah,
that
I don't know
committee.
how you do that, because things move along, you don't know, but if they know that a particular night, and I'm sure we can, I mean, if Adam has been in touch with his, I'm sure we could have Adam say, hey, give you a call and say, it'd be a good night for you to swing by.
I mean, I'd be more than happy to rally my neighbors, and,
I think
because
it
I
would
know
be
the ones
advantageous.
I've talked to, everybody's kind of furious, they get this, and they're like, again, just
get it.
kick the can down the road.
It doesn't have to be on the agenda that night. You can just come in and tell us anything you want to about anything that pertains to the budget.
Yeah,
It helps if it's on the agenda that night so we can take action on it, potentially, but just come in and let us know at any meeting.
The committee doesn't typically meet over the summer months because we're preparing the budgets at the town and the school levels. And so they do tours of facilities and things like that, and then they'll resume their meetings in September typically.
Well, we thank you for
Guess I'm
coming
gonna have
in.
to sign up for some alerts or something.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks for coming in.
all right.
Uh,
We appreciate it.
We
Thank you.
understand, we
Yeah.
really do. We agonize over this every year.
It's driving me nuts.
Thank you much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anybody else? No, motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Nope.
Nope.
No, motion to go into
Motion to go into
non-public
non-public
session.
session, RSA 91A, 3, 2, if necessary. which is
Compensation.
A compensation.
A compensation.
That'll conclude tonight's public portion of the meeting. Thank you for watching, and thank you for coming. coming in.